Yeah, g'day, how's everybody? And today's roast day. Sunday's a really special day here in Da Nang. People come out and about, you got families meeting. Football's on today because you got the South Pacific Challenge. You know, we had the test last night, Australia-England. All Blacks played Scotland, and Scotland gave them a great run, which was really good. But one of the things I've been getting a lot of is people asking me about, you know, why invest here? And I think one of the things you've got to have a look at is why overseas versus Australia. And I'm going to touch on this a little bit. And to look at this, look guys, you've got to have a think about where it's at in Australia and what's going to be like, and all sorts of the investment rules that happen throughout Asia, and they're all different. And you speak to your accountant, or you speak to your financial planner, and really do your sums and do the math on how this works. I get a lot of allergies, which is why I scratch my nose a bit, because it just gets itchy. Why did I come here? And I'll talk about why I did it for a start. I thought there was a significant investment opportunity here because you've got growth sort of 6 to 7, they want 10, they're pushing hard. Inflation's not that bad compared to say Australia. And it's really is something that you need to consider all this. So one of the issues is the third world and what's happening here versus what's happening in the developed world. And let's face it, if I talk about Australia, I am really talking about the UK, Canada, the US. All those countries are in the same boat. One thing I'll never touch on here is bagging Australia or what's happening, but I will talk about the cost of living, because that comes up a lot in Australian media. So I did a comparative analysis of cost of living in the different countries, and if you look at in US dollars, because we all talk US dollars here, we don't talk Australian dollars, because then I can compare across. The average monthly cost of living, average monthly, according to the stats, is 428 US dollars. And that's across a lot of things, right? The average cost for Australia is 2,241, United Kingdom's 2,423, and United States at 2,516, and that was as at about 12 days ago, so about halfway through October they were the numbers. So if you have a look at it, it's about 5 to 6 times lower. And if you then have a look at and I've even had a look at the dental work, so someone coming in getting $80,000 worth of dental work, here that'll cost 12. So there is those numbers that are fairly consistent all the way through. Housing prices here often 6 times lower than having a holiday rental in Australia. So something you always have a look at. If you look at and the sisters are just buying a house at the moment, and it really is a family thing that's happening, and they've got a bit of money, but borrowing is good here for Vietnamese people. And you know, there's a whole lot of people in here, and there's beautiful people we're attached to, and the amazing David, and you know, we all try hard to help the sisters, because they're just beautiful people. And you'll notice I've had a photo taken now with all the sisters on my YouTube page. Housing prices in the developed world is still affordable, right? A house was just bought here for a certain price, but many houses here are going for between 300,000 and 400,000. You can easily pick up apartments for that. But here it's different because you don't have the times land title that you have in Australia, where there's a lot of freehold. It is basically perpetual lease for Vietnamese people, but it's 50-year leases for Westerners. And I had a mate in here this morning talking about owning property here and can he pass it on to his family and all that sort of thing. Well, Westerners can sell to Westerners, but you need to really talk to a Vietnamese lawyer, and I'm going to get a Vietnamese lawyer on here to talk about in detail the legal stuff. But that's not a freebie. That's something for you guys to get on if you want to come here and you want to have a look at it. That's something you pay for. Free advice is free advice. Everybody's situation is different. Everybody's family is different. If you bring money into this country, you're going to change the relationship you have with your family overseas. So you've got to do that. So housing prices here, probably about a third. Like, if you think about the way Vietnamese people keep their money, they keep it in cash, they keep it in gold, or they cash or bank, and that's a problem. Gold maybe. The other is land. So they invest heavily in land, and the block next to us is on the market now for 43 billion or 2.6 million Australian dollars for 200 square metres. The land here in the developed parts of Da Nang is expensive. The outlying land is not, all right? And you'll find that apartments are not. So you can buy a nice apartment here for between $200,000 to $300,000. You can go off and buy an apartment, but Westerners can only sell to Westerners. So in the apartment blocks, what happens is it's got to be 70% Vietnamese that own the apartments and 30% can be owned by Westerners. So that's the basic rules here. But I think things are going to change a little bit with the retirement visa that's being currently negotiated with the central government. So if you have a look at it, you're around $600 a square metre here. You're about in Australia, you're looking at a lot more around the 3,000 per square metre for a house or an apartment. For the United States, 2,583, and for the United Kingdom, 3,946. So it all depends on the land prices, of course, and though, of course, the Australia and the United States, because of the vast nature of the countries, it's a little bit cheaper than, say, the United Kingdom, which has got a really concentrated landmass. So if you have a look at buying an apartment and then living here, the nature of work can change. So anybody who's got a online job, and there's more and more online jobs going to happen now and into the future, it's an opportunity to come here and work and live, particularly for young people, right? So if a young person's trying to buy a house in Australia, how do they get a foothold, right? An opportunity for a foothold may be here based on their own personal circumstance, all right? Based on their own personal circumstance. Then you look at here, you've got your Western style amenities, which are all an opportunity for people living here. I did the post yesterday on the health system, the banking system I trust. And you get some furfies coming out of Australia, like they said there was all of these bank accounts that were cancelled. The bank accounts were put on hold until you did your biometrics. So all of the transfer of money here happens by facial scans. So you hold your face up, right? It does a scan of your face, and let's face it, this head of mine is not that attractive. I got a nose that goes everywhere, so it probably is pretty good to have a facial scan of this head. So opportunities are here. Number one proviso is you talk to your financial planner, all right? And if your financial planner says no, then that's what you're going to have a look at. You really got to question heart versus head, all right? But there's more and more opportunities for investment in this in here. I've got a particular investment that I'm starting off with a few people through Singapore too here, where it's actually all owned out of Singapore, and that's how we're sort of getting around. But we're still going to have to deal with the 50-year lease item. So we'll work that out as we go through. But if you have a look at the overall package, if you are an online or a pensioner or on a good superannuation, part of your mix could be here, right? part of your mix could be in Australia. So it's all about seeing how that pension goes longer. We all like to own our own home. I can tell you, I'm about to move into a home, and I'm really happy about it. The whole situation here is I think it's great for retirees, just because of the cost of living. Will the cost of living go up? Maybe. We don't know. Thailand's a unique situation that's been going on for a long term, but I've never gone to Thailand all that much, because socially I haven't thought it was the sort of place I want to go to. Whereas Vietnam is very much a family style of place to live. But at the end of the day, get your advice, talk to your family, talk to a lot of people, listen, right? But then make your own decision, because that's what you're going to do. And everything in life is about balance. So if you're needing to cash it all in here and live here, you've got to question that, all right? Because at the end of the day, if things don't go right, you've got to have something outside to live on. But more and more, Asia is wanting people to come here, and the retire of Da Nang was happened because of that, because there are a number of people that came in. And the conference this week, where I'm going to talk about aged care here, is going to be interesting. And the number one thing I'm going to talk about aged care is also dementia care. So if you've got someone with dementia, is this an opportunity for you to come to a place, live near a loved one who's suffering, and live affordably? So I'll be talking about that at the conference this week. So now we'll have a look at the roast. We'll turn around and go over to the barbie as usual. Here's one for you, Georgie. And here we go. We've got the lamb cooking. The beef's ready. This is all ready to come off. So it's going to be an outstanding day. So footy on today. So Tonga, New Zealand's going to be a cracker. So I'll catch us all later, eh?